Hello, everyone. I have to say that I'm really excited today that we're having our very first Rapido webinar and hopefully many more to come. My name is Judith Frankel. I'm Director of Product Management for Rapido. And together with me from the Ex Libris side, we have Mike Richens, which I assume you probably know, also Director of Product Management for Resource Solutions, including Rapid ILL and Rapido as well. I want to thank our panelists. I'd like to call them our Rapido pioneers. They'll be presenting themselves in a second. So anyways, thank you for being with us today. Let's talk a little bit about our agenda. So the plan is we'll have a Rapido demo, very short Rapido demo, and then we'll have a discussion with our community, the panelists that are here with us. And if time permits, hopefully we'll have time for a Q&A section at the end. And I think Scott mentioned it, but for the Q&A part of this webinar, I want to ask you to place your questions under the Q&A section. And Mike will be moderating this part of our session today. And you can ask questions to us, to the product house, or direct questions to our panelists. We'll be happy to answer them. Again, thank you to our panelists. I will let them introduce themselves. They can represent themselves. They're here in order of alphabetical order of their last names. So let's start with you, Mark, and then everyone will follow.
Hello, everyone, and thanks to Judith and Mike and the Ex Libris team for inviting our participation in this. It's exciting. My name is Mark Paris. I'm the Associate University Librarian for Scholarly Resources and Discovery at Brandeis University. My kind of portfolio of areas that I oversee here at Brandeis are collections, technical services, systems, and interlibrary loan.
Curran.
Hi, everyone. My name is Curran Riley. I'm at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and my title is Shared Systems Manager. Along with Katie, who will speak next, we provide support for the entire UW consortium systems, such as Alma, Iliad, and Primo. And we are 13 IZs with an NZ and have been Alma customers since 2015.
Thank you. Katie, your turn.
Okay, hello. I'm Katie Sanders. I'm a Library Systems Administrator at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And as Curran said, we also do support for the rest of UW system. And my primary areas are Alma, Primo, Iliad, and other kind of system-y things and troubleshooting. And I enjoy testing, oddly enough.
Thank you.
Hello, I am Dan Taylor. I'm the Library Systems Specialist at the Ithaca College Library. So under the things that I administer are Alma, Leganto, Primo, and now Rapido. Yeah, that's what I do. I wear many hats in the library too, like probably many of you in small libraries.
Great. So thank you, guys. We'll be hearing from you in a second after the demo. So a few slides, a demo, and then we'll hear more from you. Okay. So first of all, a little short introduction about Rapido for those of you that don't know the product. So first, Rapido is a full resource sharing platform. We like to say from discovery to delivery. So it includes the patron experience, the end user experience, up to the librarians and the work that the staff does. And it was designed from start to be a replacement for existing resource sharing platforms, but it could be used together with those. We have different types of customers using Rapido in different ways, but it covers all of the aspects of resource sharing, meaning document delivery, returnables. It includes consortia and resource sharing networks support. What I'm showing you here are our pillars. These are kind of our more basic concepts. So first of all, it has a lot of focus on the way users experience resource sharing, kind of what is expected today from the people that are using other other digital applications. So trying to make the process very easy and transparent, and I'll try to show you that during the demo. In terms of staff, also making the interface look nice. Nice is part of the game, but also very intuitive and effective, and providing full automation for those requests that can go totally automatically, while those that need mediation, you could mediate. A third pillar is openness. And by this, what we mean is that Rapido was created in a way that from one side, we do want to have more Rapido customers. This has a big advantage, but from the other side of things, we understand, of course, that resource sharing is an ecosystem, and you have partners that you want to continue working with them, even though they might not be in Rapido. So the idea, we talk a lot about the ecosystem. The idea is that we can support that type of networks, and we have some very nice integrations with other systems, of course, also Alma, but other systems. So that's another thing that we do. And last but not least, sometimes I like to say that Rapido is the future, but even beyond that future in which we're looking into other solutions, for example, other areas of resource sharing that we need to address. One of those is controlled digital lending, for example. Very exciting to work on that area now, and also ebooks lending, ebooks resource sharing lending. So this is kind of the 4 pillars of Rapido. As you probably know or don't, Rapido is built on the Ex Libris platform, and it means it uses the same platform infrastructure that those of you that use Alma have. And this enables for Alma users combined analytics. Of course, it incorporates all the security standards. It has the same scalability. It incorporates single sign-on. And also it has the meaning that there is no lengthy implementation. So actually Rapido is kind of a feature flavored flag, in some way you can say that. So you can do the implementation on top of your current Alma. There is no migration required to adopt Rapido. And there is some need to make some configuration decisions in order to meet that ecosystem that I mentioned before. Of course, we also support other ILSs. We're currently working on that area of in our developments. So Rapido can be used for non-Alma. But of course, for those that have Alma, the integration is very, very tight. And that also means that in terms of the staff, they're working on the interface that they know. And you'll see how it looks from the patron side of things. Just before we go into the demo itself, because I really want to leave time for our panel, some other very basic concepts of Rapido. So Rapido has a shareholdings index that we've created with the holdings across all of our Rapido customers, and it goes together with the CDI. I will show you during the demo what this means in terms of the experience, both for staff and also for patrons. And we work in pods like Rapid ILL. This is a concept we brought forward from the very successful Rapid ILL. So we have groups of libraries that want to do resource sharing in known terms. So there's no need for negotiation or setting up partners. It's a very easy way of working. And also, of course, after the very successful Rapid ILL, we continue to do Rapido in the same way. So for document delivery, the base is Rapid ILL, and I could say that what Rapido does on top of that is the whole experience from start to end, including everything and being able to replace everything. So with this, I am going to actually close my camera because I want to go into the demo. So just a second, and I'll go live in a second. So we'll move to our demo. And the first thing that I want to show you is the patron experience and also how we empower, how the library can use through Rapido, how they can empower their users. Okay, so we're here on our discovery system, and this is the discovery system that the patron knows. And we're going to start by looking for something. So I'm looking for a book, The Human Age, The World Shaped by Us. A good book, I recommend it. And I'm looking at my library catalog. Okay, so this is my library catalog with no records were found. I now expand my search. And now I'm going into that global holdings index beyond my library. So these are materials the library doesn't hold, but I find the book in a similar way. And I just ask, I want to get it from the library. And what I'm getting here are actually the options that I have for resource sharing in real time. So I have a physical copy in 7 days, and I can get a chapter in 24 hours. This is very important because let's say I am a student and I have an exam in 5 days, and I'm trying to get the book that I want to get. And this actual book is going to come to me in 7 days, but I actually need only a chapter. So this is kind of the experience that we want to give users, our end users, our patrons, the ability to select what they need, and also to have very clear visibility of what they're getting. So you also have the loan period, and you also have for how long it can be delivered, and you have some options that they can get. In the future, for example, once we get to controlled digital lending, there might be some other option here. So this is kind of a very important concept for Rapido. And another thing that you'll soon see in a full demo, including the staff interface, is that the metadata was found in the system. So the user won't need to fill up long forms and put in all the required metadata. So again, this will enable the staff to less have to ping pong missing metadata, but also will enable the patrons to just simply ask for what they need in a very easy way. But let's move on. Let's move to the full flow now. I'm going to show you a full flow from start to beginning. Okay, so this time I'm going to look for from an article. Okay, this is the article I want. Again, I don't find it under my library catalog, and I'm going to expand my search. And I'm looking again into this CDI index that includes the holdings of other Rapido institutions. Now, the only thing I need to do is, again, require it from my library to get it from me. So this time, when we link, we do the get it for me, what you're going to see is something different. Since we are asking for an article, this time we don't get the offer for a physical copy, but we can get a digital copy in 24 hours. So this is exactly what I want, and I'm going to get it. And the form is very simple. I only need to agree to the copyright statement and send. So again, no metadata needed to place this request, which has been successfully submitted. So my user goes to check the request through their patron card, and you can see here that we have this also experience of showing where the request is. And now we're going to the staff. So this is the staff. This is Alma University. My student belongs to the Alma University, and this is how I access my resource sharing requests. So I'm accessing my resource sharing request, my borrowing resource sharing request, and the request has been sent to the partner. So actually, there is not much for me as the borrowing side to do here. Everything has been completed. They're there, I can follow up on them, but there's nothing much that I can do at this point. If I have the possibility to set mediation rules, if I want to stop this from happening automatically, but the great majority, you can let them go. And it has gone to the University of Knowledge, another institution that's part of my network. So what I want to show you now is how it looks from the lending side of things. So we're now in the University of Knowledge. And again, I'm going to access again my lending request from the same icon that I did before. This time, not the borrowing, but the lending. And I'm going to select now a set for those that were created today for me. You can see here, this is the article that we've just required. Under the actions, now what I need to do, the lending side always works a little bit more, is actually download the electronic resource that I want to send. And it's all in a click away. This is part also of the integration with Alma. So if I click here, from here, I would have access to download the PDF. I've not downloaded that PDF. So I have it here. And now what is remaining is for me to send the PDF to the borrowing site. You can use any name convention. There is no size limit for digital articles. And now we simply need to ship it digitally. So another action, we're going to use again the actions button, is ship item digitally. And from this window, the only thing that I need to do is actually either browse or drop the file that I've just downloaded. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop the file and click ship. And that's done. The document has been sent successfully, and the digital files were sent for the request. In terms of the library, this library, the University of Knowledge, we're done. The article has been shipped digitally. This is the end of the process for this university, and the patron has received a letter so he can access the article. We're back to the Alma University and to the sets. Let's take a look now at the borrowing request. Again, accessing all the active requests, and we'll talk about the sets in a minute later. And you see, we don't find it because it has been done. So now we're going to select the digitally completed. And here's our article. This is the article that that was done today, and the request is completed. And actually, this is the external ID for identification, and the request is completed, and we're done. By the way, from this release, from the July release, the patron will have also the opportunity to, the patron receives a letter, as you saw, and also will be able to access their library card and download the file from there. So if the email is lost, or for any reason the patron says that it hasn't received this, they can easily access this through their library cards. Okay, so this was kind of in 5 minutes, the complete flow, which is amazing because in 5 minutes you can finish a request. Of course, if we were talking about doing something, a returnable, you would need to actually print the slip and go and pick it up. But this is the same interface that you're seeing here will be used. And I want to invite you to look into our Knowledge Center. There's some videos there, and you can find also the physical returnables workflow for Rapido. Okay, and now I want to, before we leave this part of the demo into our panel, the last thing I want to talk is a little bit more about the staff user interface. And what I want to show you now is those sets. Again, the Rapido sets, which actually is everyone's going to access the request from here. I just want to show you that in this library, we've created different sets, both for borrowing and for lending. You have them with their numbers, so you know exactly what is awaiting you. And this is something that is customizable by the library, and they can change it according to their needs. You see that we have 1 for today and 10 digital active. Again, this is something the library can define. In this case, I just want to show you that I'm accessing those that are waiting for process, I think, and they have been physically received by the library. So this is, again, this is something the staff can do by themselves very easily. Maybe in a future webinar I'll show you, but you also have this videos and some help in the Knowledge Center to see this functionality. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and I'll open up my camera. Okay. And I want to invite our panelists to open their cameras as well. Thank you. That was really quick for Rapido, I have to say. So sorry, I rushed it for you guys, for the panel. Okay, so again, thank you guys for accepting this invitation. I have a few questions here for you. And if time permits, also we'll open up for questions at the end. So my first question is, what is your vision for resource sharing and how does Rapido align with your institutional values? So for this question, guys, I would like to hear all of your ideas. So Mark, why don't you start? Again, I'm doing it alphabetically.
Sure. So I get my vision for resource sharing at Brandeis and where I really want to see us go is to take resource sharing and make it more of an Amazon-like experience for our patrons. I think that's the expectation that they have, and I think it's an expectation that we're able to meet, especially with a more modern system like Rapido. I think it moves us pretty far forward in that direction. I really want to see us be able to provide materials very quickly that the patron doesn't have to buy. They're not going to buy it off of Amazon. We can lend it to them and we can get it very quickly for them.
Thank you. Thank you. That's excellent. Kuru and Katie, who wants to take it from Madison?
I can take it. So I'd say you could sum up Wisconsin's vision by saying it's the same as the Big Ten's vision. And the Big Ten in 2016 released a series of papers about next generation discovery to delivery. And Rapido is very much an attempt at kind of a concrete implementation of that vision. And we're very excited about that. Basically, the key element on the discovery side is that a patron should be able to ask, can the library get this resource for me through a relatively simple interaction, which Rapido allows, and be able to express, things like format, time to delivery, loan duration, costs, et cetera, back to the patron so they can make an informed decision. So we're very, very happy with how Rapido is going down that path. And I should say that also, unlike most Alma customers or Alma Primo customers, University of Wisconsin-Madison actually has its own discovery tool. We don't use Primo as our primary tool. And Rapido has a number of APIs that are going to let us integrate Rapido within our discovery tool. And we're very happy about that too.
Great, thank you. Katie, do you want to add something?
No, I think I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, good. Dan.
Hi. Yeah, so I think, as we all know, like our resource sharing is really about cooperation, it's about collaboration, and it's about contribution. And I think also within resource sharing, like it's a deepening of our library values where we're not only serving our patrons, but we're serving each other. And I think Rapido really allows for some nice consistency and some really exciting opportunities to do that. Here at Ithaca College, we our provost like to say that our students are our why. And I think that's also kind of what Rapido does. Like, as others have talked about, it really puts the patron experience up front. People can track in their accounts as an item is moved from the lending library over into your library and then can be available for pickup. They can see all kind of steps along that, so they're informed and they know what's going on. I think that's a really exciting part of what Rapido does for us. Also, they're in their familiar UI, so if you're if you're in Primo or another discovery, that like they're used to making requests in the same way, and it kind of just ties the whole experience together all in one place where they can kind of handle all of their library requests and resources. I think also a big part of the cooperation are the pods, is that like these pods are being formed around the ways that the participating libraries want to function. So within the terms they want, within the time settings that they want. And I think it's a really nice way to begin that kind of cooperation right from the core of it, as opposed to kind of having all that placed upon you.
Great, thank you. And I thank you all for your answers. I think I mentioned a lot the patron experience, but you're right, Dan. You know, it's also the value of the community, the libraries, and sharing is a very important value. I think that's something we learned from Rapid, and really valuable. And I know we can't explore that for very long in this webinar, but we do have, and we've sent some communication on the shared directory for the resource sharing partners. And I think this, you know, I don't want to broaden this today, but with this, we will for sure try to have this collaboration also for non-Rapido resource sharing partners, hopefully. So thank you. Okay, so Katie, now you'll have to answer a question. This is a question for you. Wisconsin, Madison. You've been with us from the development, as a development partner for a long time, attending our sessions, and you're a very special and complex consortia, very different to a very standard site. And you've also been doing a lot of testing. So I wanted you to maybe share your testing process with us. And if you want me to share, I can share also your slides. So let me just know.
Sure, go ahead and share the slides. So for it's the third and the fourth are probably a little more picturesque.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just a sec. I need to move this. Okay. Almost there, Katie. Okay. There we go.
all right. So go ahead. So as far as our consortia go, we are part of several big consortia, and we'll talk about two of them just because they are so different. One is the University of Wisconsin system. According to the state, we're one entity on paper, but in reality, we're 13 separate institutions that really have different user needs. There's two R1s, Madison is one of them. And the other schools are mid to small comprehensive schools. And then you have the Big Ten, which you're probably all familiar with, at least in some part. And we kind of think of the the Big Ten as our smart college buddies that we also have obligations to, and this large pre-existing agreement. And so the needs and agreements of these two are very, very much kind of opposed. So for example, we had tested Alma to Alma connection with Northwestern down in Chicago. They were willing to test with us, and we were able to write some extra rules in that testing to allow us to borrow and lend for 140 days, which kind of goes along the line with that agreement. However, kind of during our Rapido testing, we noticed we could borrow for 120 days, but we would lend at the regular Wisconsin rate, which is like a term loan for faculty and staff. So again, this is just one thing we kind of discovered, and so we wanted to try and make the system work for our complex situation. And that's where we're kind of going towards. And we really feel like we need this, and we feel like the system should work for our complex needs, rather than going back to our users and saying, or in our case, our consortia, and saying, hey, let's redo our agreements. it's easier to make the system do do things than it is to get a bunch of people to agree to. So Ex Libris is definitely working on that. And then to talk about our testing process, we kind of identified our current pain points or workflows that we knew would change. For example, one thing we hadn't done at Madison was digitization in Alma. It's solely done by ILL staff. And so part of what we tested was kind of and continue to test is walking through how is this going to change our staff at each of the libraries, because not only do we have on campus you know a main ILL office, but we have about 40 different libraries that kind of feed into that ILL office with you know materials. And so each of those libraries, some of them are small and specialized, like our space library or our historical library, which gets a lot of requests and they're not able to do all of their scanning. We have to make sure like our workflows and processes will line up and work for all of these different libraries' needs. So we also went through very specific points. One example was our McBurney workflow. We have an office on campus that allows us to do users can self-identify and will qualify for accommodations. For example, people with vision disabilities or dyslexia, they can request to digitize an entire written work that's cleared by copyright. We apply OCR and deliver it to the patron. Right now, this is totally a manual process, but in working with some of the custom rules and the copyright rules, we're trying to work with the system so that we can make it more automated. And then on the next slide, just to kind of show the other part of our testing was with the API. This is a very early kind of rendition of the presentation that's still in the works. But as you can see, if we do a search for something, and this is probably not a great example of a search, but St. Thomas is one of the testing partners over in Minnesota. And if you did a search, let's just say you were searching for some St. Thomas sustainability plans, and just type that in there, you can see the over on the right-hand side suggestions. Now these are coming in from Rapido. We're in talks to kind of, again, with balancing how our results match to the search terms and that, to kind of merge these from the right-hand side in line with the results. So again, all in discussion right now. And then on the next slide is this is mostly just the raw data you get back from the API for requesting, and then the user can do a request. We would do we're talking about doing a single request option, but then at that point allowing, like kind of what Judith had showed before, the option to do digitization a portion or request the full item if available. Things like that. So again, it's still, we're still in development, but things we're very hopeful for and very impressed with is that it will integrate with our custom, we'll call it Blacklight-esque. It's not true Blacklight, but our catalog, our custom catalog.
Excellent. Wow. Thank you, Katie. I'm going to stop sharing now. Amazing work, amazing feedback, and we'll talk a little bit more maybe later about that collaboration between customers and product. I feel it's something that deserves a word. Okay, I have a question for Mark for Brandeis. You are one of our customers that are completely moving away from your previous resource sharing platforms. In your case, it's Iliad and WorldShare. It's very interesting. I think it interests the community. So if you can share more with us, specifically regarding your work on setting your resource sharing ecosystem. By the way, Mark, can I say that you're on production today? I don't know. Well, I've said it, so sorry. Just today. Okay, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not the only institution doing that either. So I think that we may want to hear from others, but yeah, we are live on Rapido as of today. We're T-9 days until Iliad goes completely offline and WorldShare goes completely offline for us, and we're doing everything via Rapido. So, a lot of that has been, we're able to fill about 65%, 66% of our requests through Rapid. So Rapid has been an important source for us. It's not been everything though, because it is that content that's the most easy to get. As a research university, we rely on our closest. I like the terminology, a circle of friends. So we have various circles of friends too. So the Boston Library Consortium being one of those circles, the IDS project being another one of those circles. We rely on those networks for other types of items that maybe are not Rapid, so like borrowing microfilm, for instance. And so really what we're looking to do is use Rapid for that core group of content that's easy to get, that's quick to get, and then leverage, because for us it would be a relatively limited number of partners that we would need to set up via ISO, so that the existing Alma resource sharing functionality. We're setting that up. We've set it up with a number of institutions already. The SUNY consortium has been immensely helpful. We're having other conversations outside of that group. So also, for instance, looking at expanding our partnerships to be more international in nature. So I'm already having conversations with one very large university in Israel to do reciprocal resource sharing, so free resource sharing with each other.
Returnables, right?
Returnables included.
Yes.
Yes, so for me, it's really an opportunity. So instead of looking at resource sharing as a transactional event, which I think a lot of us in the resource sharing world tend to just purely think about it as transactional, I want to step back and look at it as strategic. Dumping things into OCLC it's kind of easy to turn it around to make it transactional, but really we have a big opportunity here to be more strategic about it, to see resource sharing, and one of the reasons resource sharing doesn't sit in access services here at Brandeis, it sits with me in collections, is because we do see it as an extension of collections. It is the strategic extension of collections. Maybe those things that we don't necessarily want to own or need to own because maybe they're tangentially related to core subjects that we're doing or what have you. But they're things that we want easy access to. And so we can choose our partnerships very strategically in that way.
Amazing. Thank you. And wishing you a lot of luck with your Go Live. Dan, you've been for a while already live. I think 3 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's right. 3 weeks.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. So, and you were actually our first any customer to go live. Maybe you can share with us a little bit about the implementation process and how is it to be live with Rapido? You already have a little bit more of experience. We do have other Rapido customers live, but in North America, I think you were the first. So yeah, tell us.
Sure. So just a little bit of background. We, like Brandeis, also are moving away from WorldShare and Iliad. Our Iliad ended on March 31st, I believe, and our WorldShare ends in about 9 days. So we decided that Rapido was really a good fit for us. So the Rapido team was able to work with us at an accelerated pace. We really kind of needed to hit the ground running pretty fast. And so what happens is that Rapido will run in implementation mode, which means it'll run in parallel with your existing classic Alma resource sharing. And because we have such rock stars in our resource sharing at Ithaca, what we did is we were able to just use Rapido almost entirely so that we could really see what the workflows would be like and kind of get the kinks and the bugs out really quickly, so that we could go live with it and be able to run on it. And I think, being live on it in the early days of a young product is what you would expect, is that some things are really ace and some things are a little tricky right now. So for instance, anything with article sharing is really fast because it's got that rapid ILO underpinning. So that's been a really big boost for us. We've seen a big increase in the articles and also saving some time with the automation around that. We also were lucky that we were able to partner with our other SUNY Roto partners, like also like a part of the SUNY network with that. And so that meant that we knew that we had a base of for returnables that we could really depend on. But we knew that there would be other ones that are going to be trickier to get. And they are trickier to get. We've run into some of the stumbling blocks. We've run into we have to manually reach out to people to find lenders. And this is only for a few returnables. I want to be clear, it's not every single returnable, but also, it's finding folks that are like, I don't know how to set that up on my end, so I don't feel comfortable lending, or vice versa. We're like, how do we get you set up on our end if we want to lend? And also there are folks that just don't want to lend outside of OCLC. And so that's a bit of a barrier, but we've also found some libraries that are really flexible and they're doing what we're doing. They're leaving Iliad, they're leaving WorldShare, and they're trying to find their way to do this. So I think the more that we all reach out together, the more we can uplift things and really make a wider universe with this kind of resource sharing, the more important it's going to be and the more access we'll have for our patrons, which I think at the end of the day is really what we're all looking to do.
Great, thank you. Okay, good luck for you too in your state now. Also to Wisconsin-Madison once they're ready for the big step. I have another question, and then I think even though I have lots of questions, maybe we'll let a little bit of time for questions from the audience. So first, this is a question around our Early Adapters and Development Partners program. So before I ask the question, I just want to say that I'm so grateful for this community, for you guys, and for also the others that are not part of this panel, because really what we've learned about product development and your needs, and we continue to learn and hear, and the program is running until the end of the year, is amazing. So really, I feel this was a community effort and a lot of learning from our side. So thank you guys. So wanted to ask you, what is to all of you, what is the key takeaway and benefits of the program? How did you see the program evolve? Just hear out how it was for you guys. So just whoever wants to take it.
I could
I guess. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I would just say that, so Katie mentioned that we're part of two consortia, the Big Ten and the University of Wisconsin system. But in some respects, University of Wisconsin-Madison is almost a consortium itself. We've got dozens of physical libraries and rely on frontline staff at those libraries to do things like filling requests. And that means we're relying on student staff sometimes too. So we've had a lot of feedback. Katie and her testers have provided a lot of feedback on what could be improved and enhanced to make that process easier to understand and easier to execute. And it's been very gratifying to see Ex Libris be responsive to that, because it means when we do go live, our training needs, I think, will be much less than they might have been. And that's really important to us. We have a lot of people involved with filling requests. Like I said, many of them students. And so having a system that's easy to use is important to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Karan. Ben, do you want to go?
Sure. So I think, we joined up as an early adopter and not as an early development partner. So we didn't get to see kind of probably the really exciting and, things as they were being developed. But what we did see is that we were able to kind of really be in close contact with our implementation team and bringing up certain things that were, either pain points for us or, we thought like maybe there's a different way to do things, and just having the responsiveness of the early adopter team was really great. I have to say that, like, we felt listened to. We felt that that our contributions were important, and I think like the more that we're all kind of pushing into this and kind of saying like this works for us, this doesn't work for us, it really kind of makes a better product for all of us. So hopefully, as Rapido continues to evolve and it continues to mature, that it's really going to be a solid product that like we're really looking to have. And I think it's got great legs, and I'm happy to kind of be on the vanguard, I guess, of that and kind of see what the next steps are going to be.
Thank you, Dan. Mark?
Yeah, to add on to what everyone has said, really it's been a very beneficial program, and it's allowed a strong dialogue in the implementation process that has helped us look at what we're doing and how we can shift our workflows around, but also be able to influence or provide feedback that will be helpful to the product team as they look at directions to take with product development that will ultimately come back and help us meet our user needs. And I generally find that these early adopters, this is going back to the beginning of 2020, this is now Brandeis's third early adopter program with Ex Libris. We've been busy, and I don't regret it, because it's really helped us move a lot of things forward.
Thank you. So guys, thank you again for answering our questions. We have a few minutes, so I want to pass it to Mike. Mike will be moderating this part of the session. So again, you can ask questions. I see there's lots of questions. So Mike, this is you go.
A lot of questions. So definitely look as well, Judith, and see if there's any you want to pull out there. A couple that I kind of grabbed to talk about though for the Q&A. What is the timeline for integration with non-Alma platforms? And that's probably a question for you, Judith.
Okay, so thank you. So we are already working on that. We think this is critical, and this is already on our roadmaps. I believe that in order to really have the full network and ecosystem of your partners, this is something we want to do and need to do. So it's already there. We've already started the work. So I guess, it's going to be around 2022 when it's ready, but it's already on the working, it's already on the oven, you can say.
Excellent. Another question is related to copyright management through Rapido, and I think this is one, maybe a good one for the panelists. So does Rapido allow for a library to make their own evaluation as many of us move away from the Contu guidelines? So does someone want to speak to managing copyright in Rapido, what's available, what can be customized on the panel? And if not, maybe I'll ask someone specifically. Maybe I'll ask Mark to take this.
I know that in terms of the copyright functionality, the Contu guidelines are kind of out of the box in there. I believe they can be turned on, and then they can be customized. You don't have to use them, so they're there if you want them, and then you can not activate them and set your own.
And if I could add to that too, so that if you've ever done any kind of configuration within like terms of use, and there are certain parameters that you can kind of activate that give certain conditions, it's the same true within those particular those terms of use and things like that, that you can allow for, like saying with copyright, look for this, look for that, and there's a variety of ways you can kind of drill down to get more specific for your institution.
Thank you.
Excellent, thanks. Another question, controlled digital lending is such a hot topic right now. This might be a question for, I think it's for Judith. What is the timeline for implementing controlled digital lending?
Oh, we want to do that now. Listen, this is one of our, I mentioned it as the future, but I see it as a today thing. So what I can tell you is that we're actually working on a community effort. We're forming an advisory group now. We already have the main kind of idea in our heads of how we want this to look or needs to look. So we want to start working on actual user stories and just put it on the table. We're going to start immediately. I can tell you it's not going to be everything immediately there. The controlled digital lending has lots of facets, but we can definitely start doing the first steps towards it, and even functional steps. And this is on a roadmap. We are already working on the designs, and we'll have that advisory group, and we'll probably have a webinar on that too very soon.
Wonderful, thanks, Judith. Another good question, will Rapido be using ISO 18626, the standard? Judith, I'm not sure if you want to answer that one.
We're using the standards, so maybe I'm wrong with a number or something, but we are supporting the NCIP and the ISO, and they're all supported by Rapido. It's one of our core values, because we understand that this is needed for the ecosystem and integration with other systems. So if another system supports those standards, we could definitely integrate. Yeah, we are pro standard. By the way, looking back to the CDL question, I know there's some work being done on by NISO on CDL standards as well. So that would also be part of what we're doing, because we want to have this as standard as possible.
Okay, great. A question that came in earlier, do Rapido libraries have access to all the Rapid ILL members and pods? And I think I'll go ahead and just answer this one. I think one of the big questions we get is, what's the difference between Rapid ILL and Rapido? And Rapid ILL is very specific to article and book chapter sharing, supported by multiple systems, while Rapido is the full end-to-end resource sharing process. If you're a library that is not a Rapid ILL member and you join Rapido, you immediately have access to all the collections, partner libraries that you would if you were to join Rapid ILL directly. If you are a Rapid ILL library and decide to adopt Rapido, then you would simply transition your workflows from your current solution to Rapido. So thanks very much for the question. And I think just to clarify, we had a number of questions from people asking, do libraries that use Rapido also use Relay or another interlibrary loan system, or does Rapido replace that system?
I'll take that question maybe, Mike.
Sure.
So we have a bunch of options here. Rapido was made to replace your resource sharing, current resource sharing platforms. The idea is that you see the value, also the monetary value on that, and you can replace it. That's how we're looking at it, without interfering with your networks, your resource sharing networks. Saying that, and you've heard from Mark and from Dan their plans, saying that we do have some institutions that can and want to keep both. So it's also possible. Again, having two systems means you need to access two systems. We are trying to look at the whole picture in a very simple and easy way. For sure, even those sites that are keeping their, for example, Iliad, we are working with them on having the patrons go through the discovery without needing to go to extra sites or doing, just a very lean experience of how they search and how they see the system. So that's one thing. but they can keep their system, but it always needs, if you have two systems, you have to work in two systems. That's what it is. Hopefully, you know, the idea is that you can have it as you want it, but that you have the possibility to replace your current systems.
Great. Question for the panelist: for resources that you can't get through the Rapid ILL network, do you still process those requests in Rapido? And maybe I'll give this question to Katie to answer.
Okay.
Maybe, I think, yeah, Katie, I think, Dan, you're working already on that. Or Katie, do you want to answer?
If Dan wants, since you're in production, I will completely defer.
So it's a bit of a hybrid right now. So we do enter the requests into Rapido so that we can track them just like you would with any other system. So if there's any kind of, if it's an external partner or something, we use that functionality to be able to track what's going on, as well as keeping up with anything that is happening. So while it's not like a direct request at this point, and that's something that, you know, Rapido is working towards, we do enter everything into Rapido and we track everything there. And we are looking for other ways of kind of like, you know, mixing and melding and kind of, you know, finding ways to really push through the other work we're doing.
Great, thanks, Dan.
Mike, I think we have for one more question, right? We have time for one more question.
Oh yeah, we're getting close to the top of the hour, yes.
Yeah, you need to select a
Oof.
hard.
A hard one?
No, I don't know. An easy one. I don't know, but it's tough. You need to select.
There's a lot. Let's see. Okay, here's a tough one, Judith. I think maybe for you. How does Rapido relate to the existing automated fulfillment network? Is Rapido envisioned to replace AFN?
Okay, wow, that I can answer in 3 minutes. Oh my God, that's a really hard one to answer. So as I mentioned at the beginning, Rapido was designed also to replace resource sharing done in networks. So it can definitely be done. It's, you know, it depends on how you see things and how you work. There are various positive points on working on resource sharing, and it's mainly, I think, one of the most basic things is that the patron, in comparison to the fulfillment network, and I don't want to have the fulfillment network fight, but in comparison to the fulfillment network, the patrons' communication is with the borrowing library, and also they see all of their information on their library card under this borrowing library. If there's payment, is with their borrowing library. If something happens and they want to communicate, it's with the borrowing library. Whilst in a fulfillment network, what you have there is a patron communicating with different libraries. So I think it's a matter of how you see things. If you want your patrons to have a main focal point and still have the resource sharing experience of the network, you can do that through Rapido. If you are currently looking at this type of, having the patron be in front of another different institution at each time, it's a different perspective, and it deserves a full answer, but Rapido can totally replace the functionality, at the end of the day, the functionality done by the fulfillment network. Very short answer to a big question, Mike. That was a hard one.
It was. Thanks, Judith, for the answer. Appreciate it.
Okay, we have 1 minute, so I really want to thank everyone for attending this, the audience for attending and asking so many questions. We'll try to review them afterwards. We'll probably have more webinars. I want to thank our panelists. I want to thank Mike for the amazing work with monitoring the Q&A, and hope to see you soon. Thank you, guys.